Okay.
We're live, man. We're just gonna give the audience maybe about 6, 7 minutes to share. Get everybody rolling. We'll
Okay.
start. Good people will start in 7 minutes. Giving you opportunity to share. And before we get too deep in the conversation, let's go ahead and roll the credits for our sponsors. Cause I don't want my boss man mad at me. We're gonna roll this intro and then we're gonna come back, y'all.
Oh.
What's going on, good people out there? What's going on, good people out there? I am joined with my good friend, Mr. Orlando Scott, who's running for Georgia Senate District 2. And yes, this is your very own Jimmy James. Jimmy J gave me the show. This is James J. Jones running for Georgia Senate seat number 1. And so we probably got another 3 minutes. So while I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be sharing throughout the groups to kind of get our listening audience up so we can really talk about why we're running for Chatham County, what the conversation is going on in Chatham County, not just Chatham County, in the state of Georgia. There's a lot of things going on with the state of Georgia. The change is coming, so I'm just gonna keep my motivation conversation down to a point, and I'm gonna switch over to my phone and share, and take about 2.5 minutes to do some sharing, so we can make sure that the is what it is show is going to be a classic. I got my partner in crime here with me, and we're going to make sure that we're impactful, insightful, and thought provoking. So I ask you if you take the next 2 minutes to share, making sure that we're getting our message out there heard to the general public. I see people coming in, going out, coming in, going out. We're trying to be inspirational. We're trying to make sure that we give the message that people want, not just a stale message, but a real live message. And so we're encouraging, I'm begging people to share. I'm hoping my counterpart is sharing on his side, because when the 5 minute mark comes on, we're going to get rolling. It's a lot to talk about. If you see in the namesake, if you see in my namesake, it says James J. Jones for Georgia Senate, Orlando Scott for Georgia Senate. And, we want to have a provocative conversation here, a conversation that we need to have. I'm going to pull it out, my counterpart, that we make sure we have a thought-provoking conversation, that we really touch the issues going on here in Chatham County. We're less than 50 seconds left before we actually go into a real true explanation or deposition as far as why we're actually stepping up to the boat and running for public office. So I ask if you would please share. Let your friends, family, cousins. There is no part of Chatham County that won't be affected by this conversation, where we're talking about the Senate conversation. As far as what's going on, we want to discuss. Let's have a candid conversation about Port Wentworth. Let's have a candid conversation about Savannah, Georgia, Pooler, Thunderbolt, Tybee Island, everywhere around the sun when it comes to Chatham County. And so we're down to 10, 15 seconds before I really get ready back into my conversation. I'm going to let my counterpart lead us off today, because you know what? I did the first 5 minutes of conversation, so I just want him to do a good introduction himself, In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Orlando, you have the floor, brother.
Hey Jay, thank you, and thank you for inviting me on. Man, what an exciting time it is to be running for office. I'm so honored, and it is a privilege to serve. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's serving our people, serving our communities, it's serving the potential next generation of leaders and mentoring and everything that encompasses that. So I'm so honored to be here again. And if you don't know me, my name is Orlando Scott. I am running for Georgia Senate District 2, the seat that's currently held by Dr. Lester Jackson. Man, I admired for years, and just an honor to potentially be his successor. I'm from Savannah. I grew born and raised here. All my schooling from grade school to high school. Go Savannah High Blue Jackets. Savannah State University School of Business, and have my roots here. Most of my family's still here. Grew up on the east side of town, east side, and started my professional career actually in Savannah. Left for about 10 years, ended up coming back, and just so honored to be here. I'm a faith leader in the community, served in the community in different capacities, and I'm a member of the Democratic Party, the actual chair, so I'm an executive member there. So again, excited to be here. Thank you again. Thank you, Jay, for all you do in the community. A lot of people don't even realize what you do behind the scenes that you don't get credit for. And I'm not just saying that, and that's to be commended. So thank you for all you do in our community.
And so, and basically, to echo the sentiments, I'm being, I guess I'm gonna be grown today, and I am J.C. Jones, James J. Jones. I'm running for Georgia Senate Seat 1. That is the counterpart to Georgia Senate Seat 2. It's currently a Republican sitting in this seat. Ben Watson has been there, I think, anywhere from 6 to 8 years, and then prior to that, he served as a state rep for some time as well. And so there are many communities around that area that have been disfranchised, left out, all the other good stuff, good conversation. There's some communities that have benefited as far as Ben Watson being in play as well. So I'm not going to discredit that or take anything away from that. Today was my first day actually knowing I was going to be running for the seat. So I really don't have a platform piece other than what I say every single day. And that is that we need to make sure that we're taking and representing every single person in the county, and not just some people, every person, the downtrodden, those people sleeping under the bridge, those people who drive over the bridge. We need to make sure that we're bridge builders and not bridge executors, where we're building bridges over problems, and we're forgetting where we need to come from. So it's so important that we make sure we take the time to work together, one community with another. We need to, and I'm going to speak on it. We need to get away from race relationships as far as looking away from each other when it comes to color of skin. And we need to start looking at making sure that whatever those barriers that historically have bound us away from each other, we don't forget them, but we forgive on some of them, and we actually do what we got to do to move forward the narrative. And so a lot of times we don't like having these candid, what I say, conversations. I'm borrowing that from Keisha. We don't like having these candid conversations, but these candid conversations are relatable conversations that allow us to be able to be in the same room, where we can have that dialect, where we can take apart what needs to be done and needs to be spread and need to be talked about. And so the main thing that I really want to focus on at first, I want to jump on. I had a good conversation with a friend of mine who's running statewide, and she told me that today she was in a meeting, and during her meeting, she heard her whole entire platform read off by a candidate that she's running against. I mean, from word verbatim, word for word. She heard everything that was she had put together as far as a platform. And for those people who ever run for office, man, it ain't nothing like somebody else you running against using your platform against you or trying to use it against you. And traditionally speaking, what we would do is when these kind of things happen, as politician and etiquette, we would, kind of soft down and really not call them a liar or call them out for a fool or anything like that. What we would do is we would just move forward, and not really put the focus on them mimicking us, but we would just try to be politically correct. And what she did was the most unpolitical correct thing you can ever possibly do. She called them out on it. And when she said she called them out on it, and she told him everything but a child of God. She didn't call him a liar, but she did say that he stole her platform. If you don't believe me, go to my website. It's there. I would hope that you would go out there and build your own platform and all those other good conversations. And what she did was she got something different than what was expected, because she was honest, because she told the truth, and she called out the person for doing what they did. She got a round of applause and she got a standing ovation. But not only that, she got a wealth of support. And so I take that, and me and Orlando see difference of opinion about this conversation sometimes, but I think we all on the same mission when it comes to this. I take it that in this day and time, in 2022, in this environment, people no longer want us to be politically correct. They want us to be able to meet them where they at. They want us to be able to have those candid conversations with them. They want us to know the issues, learn the issues, and work toward fixing the issues. Not nullifying, not pacifying, and not forgetting about the issues, not putting a patch over the issues or not trying to put a band-aid on them, but they want us to get in the grind, get in the hustle, get in there to mend the problems. And it's so important that we as new politicians, those people stepping into the gate, stepping to the forefront, that we take the time to learn who we want to represent it. We don't need to stop. It's time out for looking at black politics and white politics, rich politics and poor politics. It's all about looking at what the root cause and what the people are screaming out as far as injustice, what they're screaming out saying that what they're not getting, and what we can do to nullify and make those things that are wrong into being right. And so Orlando, I can talk all day long, but I'm not going to take this show all the way up. I just want you to interject with your thoughts about all that rhetoric I just got down spilling.
I think so. Clearly, we do have differences on our approach and our opinion, and a lot of people think we are the same, but we do have there is not a parallel as far as our ideology on a lot of things. But I think we're living in a time right now where you have to speak truth to power. You have to challenge. The example that you gave earlier about the individual that repeated verbatim this candidate's platform. I mean, there are countless examples of that happening, and that's one of the reasons I'm running. There's actually a scripture, and I want to give you that scripture. I'm a Bible guy, but in the book of Luke, chapter 4, verse 18, it says, and this is why Jesus did what he did. It says, the Spirit of the Lord is on me because he has anointed me to proclaim the good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners, to recover of sight for the blind, and to set the oppressed free. I do this, and Jay, I know you do this. We do this because we care. We do this because we care about the community. We do this because we care about our elderly. We do this because we care about our children. We do this because we care about the future generation and those that are coming behind us, the less fortunate. And that's why we do this. I always say that, when I got into politics, I was probably a little naive. I was probably a little naive because of the reason I'm doing this. Because I know for a fact that's not always the case. That's not the normal why a lot of people run. So I think you're spot on. So I do agree with you that with on your ideas on that. But we got to do it for the right reasons, and we got and you can't lead the people unless you love the people. And I I believe in this time that if we take that approach, you'll see the trajectory of our community and everything go into a different direction.
And also with that same scripture, I think the one key piece that we need to actually focus on is the word opportunity. Um, I think a lot of time when we talk about the poor, they don't have the opportunity to be able to provide or do better for themselves as far as that's concerned. And the same conversation, I don't think a lot of times the poor doesn't take advantage of the opportunity when it comes time to being able to vote, when it comes time to be able to be a part of a system. And a lot of times they don't do it because they just feel disenfranchised, they felt left out. And so when we talk about these opportunities, I think that we have to get back to the basics of making it where they feel they're a part of a system. The opportunities are there for them, and I think that that's where people of God, men of God, women of God, people of God, step into the gate with good hearts, good minds, good leadership to understand who they serve, who they lead, to make sure that they're giving those opportunities to them to be able to thrive and survive in this turmoil times. A lot of people would like, for instance, gas. We'll turn around and take gas and blame gas. Okay, that's the president's fault for gas, and makes it very something that's more complex than what it really is. Real simplified, and turn around and blame a president of the United States for the issues when it comes to gas, and they know it's more complex than that, but then they turn around and use it for that reasoning. And so, and I preach this all the time. Politics starts local, but it builds its bridge up from local all the way up to the federal level of government. And so, before we even get to Biden, we need to be looking at how our local governments, our municipalities work, how our county government structures work, how our state leadership works, how our state leadership works in our local delegations, as far as Chatham delegation is concerned, all the way up to how it works to what's going on in the state capitol and even in the governor's mansion, all the way up to Biden. That's when we start talking about Biden and all his department heads and HUD and all those other different departments that actually service us. Then we start having those conversations about federal government. But if we're not willing to have those conversations on the state level, on the local level, of those leaders who actually affect us, then we're going to keep losing. And I think the one thing what we've learned, I know Port Wentworth for a chance learned, City of Savannah's learned to some degree as well, that these state rep seats that we're running for really, 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 really do matter. And us stepping into the opportunity of trying to change how they matter is crucial to our environment, because these guys, when you talk, and I'll give you 3 examples if you want to talk about it. First example is redistricting, how the county has always done it, where they got with an NPC or some kind of local authority to make sure the maps are evenly distributed. And then state government intercedes and says, well, we don't want to do your map because we have 1 or 2 discrepancies and we got 2 Republicans who voted against it. So we're going to show y'all that it's not a county that makes a decision. It's a state that makes a decision. And so here you go, 2 state reps who stepped up to the plate and said, oh, we don't want to go with the map. We want to change the map to be the directions we want it. And the county really don't have a choice in the matter. Now, here you go. All these decades, we've been getting the maps done by the county. Resolution goes forward. The state approves it because we've been in good standing. But now that we have all this turmoil, Republicans versus Democrats and everything under the sun, now we want to see who really is in control. That's number 1. Number 2, what's going on in Port Wentworth? The threatening, the pulling a charter. Here's another example where state reps are crossing the line and interfering with localized government structure. You have a localized government structure that over time, Port Wentworth was a population of 900 people. It was Mayberry. And now Mayberry has grown into a miniature Savannah, where now you went from 900 people, now you have almost 10,000 people. And the 10,000 people were a seed of what the 900 people wanted for greed. Because the 900 people, when they were in charge of government, they kept giving developers opportunities because they kept getting better tax breaks and better taxation coming from all the housing that was being built. But they built themselves out of control, meaning the populations they built on the north side now outpopulate the ones who actually had control all these decades. And so now you've built yourself out of control. And in state government, because they're mad, state government is once again, these state reps are getting involved. And so now you're having all these times where state reps and state senators are interfering with local politics because the local politics is changing. And so guess what? When you can't change the people, you change the people. That's why it's time for me and you to step forward and step into the realm of those state politics. So we replace those people since they're already doing a job of replacing the local legislative people out the way. What you got to say? I know I said a whole lot.
And part of the, the Senate role is to be the checks and balance for the local government. You're speaking on Port Wentworth, which I didn't know we was going to talk about that today, but I'll give you my thoughts on it. I don't feel at this time, and if you really get to the nuts and bolts of it, they're trying to change the charter simply because the other side doesn't have control anymore. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the whole thing. So now you have a state rep who doesn't even represent the area that we're talking about that's trying to write this bill to change the charter, and versus, in my opinion, giving it to the people. And even if there's a group of people that want to, change it, do a study on it. Do a study, a year long, not this arbitrary quick decision to incorporate it. And do a study, and then give it to the people. Let them decide what's best for the community. I think it's a very interesting time with Port Wentworth. It'll be an interesting precedent if this is changed. And state leaders, we're watching you. We're watching you because it's not right for the premise of why they are doing it. It's simply because there's a Democratic control on the council, and they do not have the power. So now you have a mayor that's saying, well, I'm going to take my ball home. I'm not going to govern. I mean, you're actually taking the oath that took office. So if you don't govern, in my opinion, we need to recall. And that's my thoughts.
And my thing is, my thoughts on it is this. I'm glad that what they're doing. I mean, a lot of people get mad at what they're doing. I think that we need to go a step further. I think that once we get some kind of control there, I think we need to do a full audit on Port Wentworth. Any business I've ever owned, when we had, conversations, even situations like that, we've always asked for a forensic audit, internal audit, to make sure that the books aren't doing anything wrong or irrational. It's not. I mean, when you're not doing anything, I've always, when somebody came and said, "Man, we're going to audit you," I said, "Man, fine, please, because maybe you can help me with any mistakes I made." So, I mean, I wouldn't be crying personally about the books being audited or anything like that, because I think these are the things that we're in need of. But I will say this: Port Wentworth is just the beginning. I think one plan was that they wanted to dissolve that part of Port Wentworth that's right next to Garden City and allow them to be annexed into another city. Another one was split Port Wentworth in half and create a new city. in all those houses that the old Port Wentworth signed off on for the last 10 years, which makes no sense. But allowed the new Port Wentworth to actually create its own city, and that's happened. I've seen that happen down in South Fulton in Atlanta, Georgia, where they annexed themselves. They didn't want to be tied to the county. They didn't want to be tied to Fairburn, and so they annexed themselves into what called South Fulton. And so these are opportunities that are happening all over the state. It's not something that's not being done. Annexation happens all over the place. Savannah, Georgia is a prime example. They do annexation all the time. That's how you have the Highlands. That's how you have all these other areas outside the jurisdiction of what Savannah touches. And so these things happen. So I don't look at it as a bad thing. I just look at it as a growth thing. And I think that, they outgrew themselves, and they outgrew themselves out of the control they used to have. And if we're not careful, Garden City is up for election next year. Pooler is up for election next year. Rankin, it probably has a couple of seats up for election next year. I think that all these at Richmond Hill probably have elections up next year. All these places on the outskirts of the metro area of Savannah are up for election. And if you know anything about Savannah, the growth in Savannah, minorities are being pushed out of the root of Savannah. That's why you went from maybe 60, 70% stronghold in Savannah when it comes to African Americans. Now you're down to 47%. You still got the stronghold, but you don't have the stronghold like you used to have. And so this growth is changing, and that growth is pushing it into the outskirt areas. Hence why you're seeing more diversity out there in Pooler, Port Wentworth, Garden City, and even Thunderbolt to a degree has a little bit more diversity. When you look at the islands, more minorities with some wealth outside of Chatham County are moving to the islands, into those houses. So it's not like it used to be. The old guard that me and you grew up, we didn't, when we grew up, we went to the west side and we went to the east side. Now, you go to the south side. You go to these small municipalities outside the realm of Savannah, Georgia. So the growth patterns have changed completely. And we got to get to the point where we got to start talking about the issues. We can't just get to, we want to just talk about the broad-based stuff, the safe broad-based stuff that we know we can scapegoat around. We got to start talking these issues, and we got to start making sure we develop a game plan to stress the narrative of fixing those issues in our community. So, today is the first official day. Today, officially, we can say both of us are on a ballot.
Yes.
Both of us have a ballot that we have to run through on May 24th, which is the primary. And then we have another ballot, if we succeed, on November the 8th that we have to run through. And so in the next 5 to 8 months, we're going to be challenged, tested, and we're going to have to give our opinion, our facts, our conversation to say why we are the best person to represent us out there in this community. And so,
can I say something?
You go ahead, man.
Since you're speaking on the election, in particular my race, and excuse me, on my side, there are, in my opinion, two great candidates that are running for the seat. I think, and this is just my opinion, that it's okay because, democracy is about choices. Democracy is about choices. And the days of a couple of people going in the back room saying, hey, you run for this seat. You run for this seat. We don't want nobody else to run. Those days are over. And you'll see this in the primaries where we have multiple candidates running each race. I think it's a good thing for us to have choices, for us to hear the candidates, for us to hear their hearts, their values, and what they stand for. And, the backroom days with corruption, nepotism, and all of that, I think comes with that when you don't have choices. So I encourage you, especially for my race, to go out, listen to both candidates, on our side, hear what they have to say. My supporters, I'm telling you, it's okay to listen to the other candidate, because I think that's good. I think that's healthy, and I think this is a new day in politics, and we really, you know, we can't have these silos and just saying, well, I'm only going to listen to this one candidate, and I'm gonna close my ears. I'm not going to talk to the other one. No, you need to hear the other side. I think far too often we pick candidates on name recognition. We don't even give the other candidates a choice. Excuse me, a chance. And I think that's misguided. So I encourage you to listen to all candidates. I know we have a couple of Republican challengers also on the other side, so we're not going to talk about them. But mainly in our race, this is what democracy is. And this is a chance for you to listen at all sides and really really hear their platforms and get excited and get behind whoever you and make the choice. So that's my take on it.
Okay, and I agree. I think, and I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times we don't understand how to play in the sandbox together. In kindergarten, you didn't have a choice but to play in the sandbox together, or you just didn't get a chance to play. And you were all in the same class, so you all understood you had to play together, sensible, right, with dignity, respect, and all other good stuff like that. Somewhere down the line, we lost touch with that, and I guess because I'm a little bit more burnt when it comes to politics. I receive it and I understand it, but I also don't understand where, when I'm in the cycle, when I'm walking around, and I'm not gonna call it out today, but I will call it out later on. When I was at the state capitol today and I was qualifying, people were excited to see me, talk to me, and all that good stuff like that. Shook my hand, and everything, and then said, "Well, what you running for?" And I said, "Well, I'm running." Well, no, they didn't say what you running for. They said, "What you up here for?" And I said, "Well, I'm running for public office. I mean, I'm up here to qualify. This is qualifying time. What you think I'm up here for?" And these are politicians who represent us right now. I want that clarified, understood. And what you doing up here? And they thought about it. Said, "What you doing up here?" I'm qualified. I'm qualified. What are you qualifying for? I'm qualified for Georgia State Senate number 1. And then they gone. And another time, same conversation while I was at the state capitol today with elected people who are elected for us right now. Another person walked up to him and said, "Hey man, why don't you take a picture with me?" "Oh no, I already took a picture with them. I gotta go. I gotta do this. Boom, boom, boom." Pew, gone. Look here, man. We gotta realize that there's difference of opinions. Different people are going to want to run for public office, even within the same party structure. It doesn't mean we have to plague. It doesn't mean that we're ugly. It doesn't mean that our breath is not in the right taste, or our minds not in the right minds. It just means that we have a difference of opinion when it comes to internalized politics. And within the structure of the Democratic Party, we shouldn't be running against each other. We should be running to help each other. Because in the end, after May 24th, it's going to be one person on the ballot that moves forward. And if I don't move forward, then guess what? I'm still going to support whoever is that person who moved forward. I got a track record of that, so nobody else can say that I haven't done that myself. Because when I ran for public office last time, when I lost, I didn't get in my feelings. I didn't call nobody no names. I didn't do anything under the sun. I supported the person. Now, after that person won, I did have some comments. I did have some discussions and anything under the sun, because I am a citizen of the United States of America who lives in Chatham County. And if that person who won that race is not doing right by me, I have the right obligation to call them out on their efforts. And my thing is, if that person's not willing to come to me because I'm the leader, or I'm in some capacity that can help them, then I'm going to call them out sometimes in public. That don't mean I hate them. That don't mean I don't love them. That just means I do love them because I'm willing to call them out for the fallacies they do wrong. And so my thing is this: when it comes to this political world, there's nothing wrong with us challenging each other, coming at each other within the party structure, because that's part of life. Because eventually we gonna get to May 24th, and we gotta all start working together. And we gotta, because one thing I can't stand is a person who's in a primary talking about they gonna work across party lines. Because my thing is this: how can you work? Is it how can you? It's just like Jesus said. How can you love me which you can't see, and you see your brother every single day and you don't love him? And we're supposed to be brothers within the same confines, fighting the same struggle. And if we're not willing to love each other within the party structure, then how can we go across the lines to love somebody else? Because if we're willing to say we can work across the lines and love those people across the lines, then I gotta question you, who you really align with and who you really in love with. And so these are the conversations that we need to have. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm gonna pull it out of Mr. Scott, because you know what? I know Mr. Scott better than y'all because we have great candid conversations. But it's so important for us to look past the narrative of being civil in these times. Civil is not going to cut in these times, y'all. We have to be blunt. We have to talk to the people. We have to work with the people, but we have to work for the people when we get in these elected seats. And it's so important that when we step up to the gate, that we live and work for the people. And y'all know, I'm gonna tell you right now, this brother over here on the, y'all don't see him like I see him, but to the right of my screen, I love him like no other. We've known each other for a long time, and guess what? We've known each other even better these last few years, because you know what? With kindred spirit within the Democratic Party, we share. And so it's so important for us to make sure that we have these candid conversations to the general public, and not just the general public who is willing to listen to us on social media, but when we go door to door and we go community to community, making sure we express those thoughts that we have, we're going to make sure that we work with each other to make sure that we're doing what's right for the people out there in this community. And so, Orlando, I'm going to be quiet because I'm going to go get me some water, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes to talk, brother.
Well, you said a mouthful there. Again, I am so excited. I'm just so excited to potentially to be a part of the change and the change that's happening at the Capitol. I think about, um, some of the things that the other side is doing that is downright almost inhumane. They're pushing the bill around, the uh, permitless carry bill that is very dangerous. You got the expansion of access to Medicaid that they're refusing to do, which we're leaving billions of dollars on the table that we could be getting from the government for people in need. It's a shame where you have elderly people or people that have less means that have to choose between buying prescription or buying milk, and that's not right. That's right. That's not right. Everyone deserves affordable, quality care. Um, Governor Kemp, excuse me, is attempting to censor our classrooms by, telling them what to say and what not to teach. And then you have this gerrymandering thing that's going on in our local districts. That, I mean, not only from the state, and you touched on this earlier, where we had a nonpartisan group to do the district maps here, and then you had two Republicans that said no, we don't like that, we need to change. I think the state maps should be not party led. I believe it should be nonpartisan. So there are a lot of things that are going on, and you need people like myself, like Mr. Jones, that can make the change. Working across the aisle, it starts now. We don't wait till we get in the seat to say we're gonna work across the aisle and we can't even work together. It starts now. So working together as a party, and we've proven that time and time again. And I think, going to the next level at the state house, you know, will be a piece of cake. my life, working cross functionally in corporate America, where, from different areas, from bottom down, the top up to the CEO. I mean, that's a skill that a lot of people don't have. Um, and that's something that's a skill set that you have to take to these tables, and being around, the state legislators like we were this week. So very excited about that. But those are some of the topics that we got we got to address going in. And I'm gonna get me a drink of water.
Get you a drink of water. And it's so important that you bring that up, man. These topics are not just local; they're bigger issues, bigger than what we actually can represent, and that's why it's so important for us to actually step forward, step into the gate. If you look at, and I talk about this a lot of time, and I've said this 1,000 times, and nobody is listening. And part of the reason why, and y'all, I had no intentions of running for Georgia State 1, but I'm gonna tell you why I did it. I'm gonna tell you why I did it. All right. So in 2023, when this is all said and done, in 2023, we will go from having 2 state senators to 3 state senators, and we will continue to have 6 state reps. And so if you look at the makeup, it's a 4 Republican, 4 Democrat. When you look at the totality of the 8 people in the prior terms, you had 8 people, 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans. No change ever happens locally in the delegation, because the Democrats would never agree with the Republicans, the Republicans would never agree with the Democrats. And we pretty much 4 years ago, we never had anybody challenging anybody. In 2018, we had, everybody Democrat, everybody Republican just got put back on the ballot without any issue, without any reservation. And then the people in Chatham County have suffered. Now, mind you, I'm not here to talk about previous leadership or whatever the case may be. I'm just giving you the scope and the dynamics of what actually occurred here in Chatham County. And so you had 8 people, 8 leaders who were state leaders, and that's why maps can be whirled through, because you have 4 and 4. It was no needs and 4 imbalance. But over the last 4 or 5 years, there's been an imbalance now. Imbalance is starting to show. And because the imbalance is starting to show, people are starting to show true allegiance to their party, and they're becoming more strategic about how they do and what they do. And so if you look at Chatham County as a whole is a Democratic county. We've been a Democratic county going back 20, 25 years. We just don't know it in most cases. We just didn't know it until the last 4 or 5 years. But we've been a Democratic county for a long time. And so when I talk about the state delegation, I'm going to go back to the state delegation. We had two senators and 6 state reps. That was a total of 8 people. 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans. And so what the Republicans did in the last census drawing was they added a 3rd state senator. And because they added a 3rd state senator, we can no longer allow a Senate 1 and a Senate 2 and the other one, which is Senate 4, to actually be in control of what goes on in our community. And so it's so important that we had to either put somebody in the race for Senate seat 1 or Senate seat 4. Now, I only live in one of the two. And because I live in Senate seat 1, I have, and Orlando will attest to this, probably for the last 4 or 5 months, I have interviewed maybe 20, 30 people as far as potential candidates to run for Georgia Senate 1. Because right now, my concentration is fixing the 1st Congressional District as a whole, because we're fragmented and we got a lot of work to do in the 1st Congressional District. But because I understand what's getting ready to happen in 2023, either I needed to step forward and run for public office, or allow Georgia State Senate 1 to perish and remain in Republican hands, and allow Hickman, who's in Senate seat 4, to come into Chatham County. And then we would have 2 state senators from the Republican Party and 1 state senator from the Democratic Party on base. Because even with State Senate 2, now that Lester Jackson has moved on to greener pastures and trying and making a play for the Labor Commission, now Republicans are making a play for Georgia Senate District 2, because you got 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, all 4 vying for that seat now. Where in the past, nobody would run against Lester. In this day and age, now that Lester's moved on, you know what we do. We don't run until the seat becomes vacant, and then that's when everybody and their mama want to run for the seat. And so because of that, the dynamics have shifted, and it puts us in peril where we have to make sure that we either made a play at Georgia Senate Seat 1 or Georgia Senate Seat 4. Now, I know I did a lot of talking there, but see, my thing is we as constituents, we need to learn how politics is played and how strategy is done. Because my thing is it was so important for me to step forward. So I may not have a place to stay in Georgia Senate Seat 1 because I know my wife may not be happy with me running for public office, but it's such a crucial thing for us to make sure that we do everything possible we can to make sure we keep politics in play that works for the people and not against the people. I see you unmute yourself. Go ahead.
So let me get this right. So there were 2 Senate seats prior to the drawing.
Correct.
District. So they added a third one from Statesboro.
Correct.
Gave him a piece of Chatham County.
About 5 to 8,000 people out of Chatham County. Correct.
A Senate seat.
5 to 8,000 of 300 something out thousand people in Chatham County. Correct.
Just so they can have a play on the other side for
in the 3rd largest Democratic-based county in the state of Georgia. Correct.
Again, tricks. We need a nonpartisan group for the state to draw these lines. And that goes back to what I was saying before. Tricks. Even in my race, so there are 2 Republicans that are running. Well,
one is a part-time Republican, but I ain't gonna say no. I'm gonna be
one was a Democrat on Monday, and the other one was what was he? Not a libertarian, but an independent on Tuesday. So they decided to be Republicans this week. I mean, that's part of the game, I guess, but that's a part of what's wrong with our political system. That's a part of what's wrong. And it's just not on the local level, it's not on the state level, it's across federal lines, and just a lot of trickery. And that's the reason I'm running. That's the reason I'm running, Jay. Because
I mean that's the reason. I mean, I guess that's just gonna be the platform piece. That's why I'm running. Yeah, I mean, it's just that cut and dry, man. It's just so important that we step forward and win, lose, or draw. You know how I am. If I run and I lose, guess what? And I have no plans on losing. But when I run and I lose, that gives me a voice to be able to challenge those people who are not moving on those narratives. And this is what we have to understand, people. When we don't run, we have to accept the leadership that we got. Y'all can write the letters you want. You can call them 1,000 times. You can write everything. But if you're not sending candidates to run at these people, they're not paying attention to what you got. The best thing to get results is to put somebody up against them to hold them accountable. It's that simple. Sure. It's that simple. And guess what? They're doing that. We should be doing the same.
They're doing it on all levels.
Yeah, man.
On all levels.
So we're at the 12-minute mark, 12 minutes away from being done. This is just the beginning conversation. We're going to have more conversations like this. I'm going to make sure I put a mic in Orlando's house, so therefore we ain't getting this echo. I think that somebody said it was early on. We're going to make sure we do what we got to do to get the ball rolling. One thing I can say about this brother on this camera with me, we share one thing in common. We love the community. We both graduate, even though he a Blue Jacket and I'm a Bulldog. We both graduated from schools right here in Savannah, Georgia. He got his bachelor's degree at Savannah State. I'm a Shaw Bear. We both have an understanding of what the needs are for the community. I don't take anything away from anybody who's on the ballot. I encourage everybody who's on the ballot. Yes, I am just like everybody else. I can put my two fingers on the scale just like everybody else. But I try my hardest not to do it because you know why? It's I like the people to have plausible, reliable, electable leadership. And so it's so important that we bring those kind of messages to the table. Um, I expected me to put a full frontal assault on this thing day one. I've already started my first part of my politicking on my way here on the road home. It's very, 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 it's very, very important for us to make sure that we're covering those bases. Um, I want it understood and clear. I'm not going. I'm holding back today because I just got off the road for 4 hours. I just got finished politicking for 10 hours. I had something to eat probably about 30 minutes ago, so I'm still going through what I gotta go through. And so it's so important for us to understand this is just the beginning. We're going to tiptoe for now. We're tiptoeing for now because I want to hear what the people have to say. I know what people have to say in certain communities, but I need to know all the communities that actually I will be running for to actually be the voice of reason, voice of conversation and opportunity for. So, with that being said, we're at the 9 minute mark. I really hope that we are adamant about learning what we can do. Orlando, if you want to share any information as far as how they can contact you, this is the opportunity, this is the time. And no, I bring on this thing right here, I bring who I want to bring on this show. Nobody tells me who to bring on this show because this is my show. And on my show, I'll do that. Now, there will be opportunities where everybody can have every conversation under the sun. And guess what? I won't stop that. But on this show, it is what it is. I'm going to talk to the people who I want to talk to. And this one right here, because this is qualifying week, I felt that me and Orlando, who we actually worked together with, you didn't hear me endorse him. He didn't endorse me. So I want to make sure that's clear too for those people who like to play the politics behind the politics. And I can't vote for him and he can't vote for me. So in essence, guess what? Even if we did endorse each other, there's nothing we can do outside the realms of just making sure we encourage people in those communities. And I can guarantee you, if I'm going to endorse anybody, it won't be on the It Is What It Is show. It's going to be in the community when I'm talking to the 4,000 or 5,000 people I come across on a month-to-month basis. So tune in. I appreciate everything. And I'm going to close out and give Orlando the opportunity because I think it's well deserved. And I'll be here next Friday where I'm sure he'll be doing something different on next week Friday. So I'm gonna turn it over to you so you can close this out, brother.
Hey, thank you again, and this great conversation, great dialogue this evening, and thank you again for having me on. It is what it is. Again, you can reach out to me. I have a website, vote for FOR orlandoscott.com. See my platform and donate to the cause if you so see fit. We need your encouragement, we need your support, and we need your financial donations. This is a big race, and anything, no amount is too small. So if you so see fit, please visit my website and please donate to the cause. I'm on Facebook. We have a Facebook site, Orlando Scott. Vote Orlando Scott for Georgia Senate on Facebook. So please support that. And I'll be out in the community because I don't have all the answers. I want to hear from the constituents. I want to hear from the voters and find out what your needs are in your individual area and how we can, from a state level, support our local municipalities and our local communities. With us coming in, bringing new energy, fresh ideas. I have a lot of great ideas around how we can improve the quality of our community going forward. So again, thank you, Chairman Jones, for having me. And I look forward to being on here again and being back. Being back in action here. It's been a couple of years. since I've been in campaign mode, so I'm a little rusty. But again, excuse me, I'm just so excited to be a part of this election cycle here.
And Ms. Jones, area, Georgia Senate area, since I got 2 minutes left to spare. Georgia Senate 1 area is the outlining areas of Chatham County that does not service the metro part of Savannah, Georgia. That's and Thunderbolt as well, because Thunderbolt now is in Senate Seat 1, Senate Seat 2, and in Senate Seat 1 encompass Liberty County, Bryan County for the most part, to the west side of it. Everything around Savannah, Georgia. So your Allens to Pooler to and Port Wentworth is also in Senate Seat 2. Garden City is in Senate Seat 2, I believe. And so it's really a combination of Chatham County, Bryan County, and I know all of Liberty County is in Senate Seat 1. So and being that I live in Pooler, that puts me as a representative who can serve as far as that's concerned. So that would be the area. Ms. Betty Jones, Georgia Senate 2 would be your representative. So you would be conversating with Mr. Orlando Scott and not myself. So I'll make sure I get that information over to you. And if there's any additional questions, that's the only questions I saw. Let me double check the other chat. So we're not making sure that we're making sure everybody is in compliance, because I don't want nobody saying that they didn't hear anything from us. And with that being said, all hearts and minds are clear. I'm going to go ahead and close us out. Tune in starting next week. We will start having more special guests, special announcements. Yes, we'll have some political people, some candidates, some people will not be political people. I'm going to make some people angry at some of the guests I bring on the show, but I promise you we're going to keep you in tune, informed, and ready, because getting the message out there, getting the word out there is very important. Me and Orlando have already talked about teaming up to doing some collaborations as far as Zooms are concerned, conversations in the community, and everything under the sun, because we want to make a full frontal assault as far as how we can collaborate and work together to get the job done for our community. So with that being said, unless you have anything else to say, Mr. Orlando, other than closing us out.
No, sir. No, sir.
All right. Again. Well, with that being said, I appreciate y'all. Tune in next week. We will start on time. We have a schedule starting next week. So tune in 8 o'clock, every 8 o'clock, every Friday. I'll see y'all around. Be safe. Peace.